Welcome back to Alpha Mods, everybody. So today we're in my office and we are doing part 2 of the maintenance series, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the spark plugs. So as many of you guys know, the owner manual wants you to do it around 60k miles, but me being the way that I am, I like to preemptively take care of things, and I went ahead and picked up some spark plugs that we're going to be installing. And this video is basically just going to be a how-to on removal and installation and little key points that are going to, help overall keep everything nice, and so that, nobody does any damage to their car or anything like that. But anyways, getting back to it, what we have right here is the OEM, and we'll look at it in detail. So you guys can see right here, these are the OEM spark plugs that you get from the dealership, and they have the mopar original part number with them. In all reality, these spark plugs are made by NGK. So with that being said, the only reason that I'm going with OEM ones instead of just going down to Madness Auto Works and picking up a pair of the NGKs for a cheaper price is because I have an extended warranty. And with that extended warranty, I want to be able to keep a good relationship with my dealer, and in order to do that, I need to be using OEM parts that I can keep a record of. So we're going to go ahead and head on into the garage. We're going to go over what we need to do the installation, and then we're going to go over how to actually do it. Okay, so basically we're going to go over the tools real quick. What we have here is the Duralast spark plug remover tool. Now this one, I like this one. It's fully magnetic. It doesn't have that little grommet in there. I feel like this does a better job of being easily able to remove the plug. We also have a 16mm socket for the tightening and loosening, but you could also use this to loosen too as well, as this one does have a little swivel joint. It's helpful. And you have a nice digital torque wrench, because being a soft aluminum head, you want to make sure that you're getting correct values. So what we do here is we go ahead and turn it on, go ahead and put the backlight to it. So as you can see there, we're going to be at putting this at 14 pound-feet of torque. And we can also change the units to 168 inch-pounds. So that's the amount of force that's going to be needed to tighten these on there in the correct spec. Also with the spark plugs, you're going to want to have a spark plug tool so that you can make sure the correct gap between 0.024 and 0.025. And you're also going to want a magnetic tool. Different various reasons, one of them being makes it much easier for you to get your bolts and things like that, because these, if they do fall, it's going to be a pain to get. You're also going to want a small 10mm socket and ratchet. This is not only for the engine cover, but for the coils as well. So once you have your tools assembled, the next thing we're going to do is get this engine cover off. Yeah, I want to say the first step is going to be going to the back and removing the battery so that the car doesn't have any power, and that way we don't trigger any warning lights and etc. Then we're going to use the 10mm to remove the two front engine cover bolts. And you want to be super careful because all of these lines right here are very brittle. So you're going to want to feel underneath, and you see how I'm not going to be touching this. Feel underneath and then slightly just pop up. We come to the other side and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come from this angle where my hand is here, pop up. And once we do that, voila, our engine is revealed. And we'll be getting ready to do removing the coils. And as you remove the coils, what you want to do is cover them just make sure you don't leave an open inlet straight into the engine block. You don't want to do that. Everybody says that you need to remove this here. You really don't. You just need to pinch and pop, and you should be able to get that out. So I'm not going to actually go through the process of showing you guys. I have a little bit of footage, but what I am going to do is show you guys how to pop off this harness, because it honestly can be a pain. So with that being said, let me get to it. Now, to be quite frank and honest with you guys, this is probably the hardest part about the entire spark plug change. Everything else is very simple. You're going to start by using your thumb, if you have a nail, pop up that tab, then you're going to pinch. So we're making a pinching motion, and then we're pushing in and then back out. So in and out. And just like that, you pull it out without damaging anything. You use your 10mm to go ahead and get that out. The plug itself will pop out. Really, again, straightforward, self-explanatory. You're going to do this to all 4 of them. You're then going to use your magnetic tool, go down there, remove it. Then you're going to come in with your torque wrench and torque it up to the correct spec. A few more quick notes here. You never want to start the car without having this bolt in. So if you have the engine cover out, make sure that bolt's in, because if not, oil is going to be spewing from that location right there. Also, when you're doing the spark plugs and you're threading them in, you want to make sure everything's being done by hand up until you're ready to do the torque wrench. Because if there's any resistance at all, you have a chance of damaging things. So if you feel resistance, stop what you're doing, pull it back out, and recenter the plug and make sure it's going in the correct way. Last thing you want to do is strip anything in that area. So otherwise, hopefully everything was helpful. And basically now, thanks to Fast for Alpha on YouTube, who had this awesome video on how to save people a lot of money. With this part number right here, you can go to rockauto.com, and instead of paying a crazy amount of money at the dealership, you can get a better than OEM or OEM equivalent, brand new coil. And I'll go ahead and get the light on it here, but as you guys can see, they're basically exactly the same. You have FCA versus Delphi. I'll go ahead and get that in there and get this spark plug out. Okay, so update here, we're about halfway through. Everything fits in just like OEM on the coils, and basically it's the same process of pinching and then releasing. It seems like these two are going to be a little bit easier to get. When you are doing the spark plugs, I do want to show you guys what these look like. This is after like 20,000 miles, so $20,000 miles tuned. Might want to get your spark plugs checked out here. And now this, just as an example, let's pretend this is the plug. You're going to keep putting pressure until you get that nice beep. So again, we'll do that one more time, and it'll tell you when you're good to go. Now, Alfa Romeo recommends that you do this spark plug thing every 60,000 miles. I really believe with a high compression, turbocharged, direct injection engine, 30,000 seems a little bit more appropriate. If you're tuned, you definitely want to be doing this. I do want to make note that if you do go ahead and go buy the Mopar ones, They are still made by, as you can see there, MGK. Because even when I got these from Mopar, the gap was 0.028, all of them. So I had to gap down to the factory spec, which is fine. Just get a little spark plug gapping tool from whatever auto store you want to. But again, you can take a look at the spark plug. It's not anything horrible, but I mean, this was like almost 20k miles, so I'm pretty surprised that the wear looks like that after such a short period of time. And the idle got much better, so that was also really good, and I'm glad that I was able to do that. I mean, all in all, I want to say, if you're doing this the OEM way, you're going to be spending about $140. And for those of you who are interested in what I'm using the Vanpo digital torque wrench, which is good up to 100 foot-pounds, but it's good for those small, precise measurements. You want to make sure that it does have a certificate of calibration report so that you know what percentage of error this machine is, which is impeccable, to be honest. So for like 80 something bucks, you're not going to beat that for this tool. Again, I'll put a link. All in all, you're going to be saving a crap ton of money compared to if you went to the dealer and had this job done separately. And it requires very, very minimal tools. And the skill level that's actually needed to do this is pretty much next to nothing. Minus the fact that you have to learn that the plugs go in and then out. If you're just yanking on it, it's not going to go anywhere. So you have to pull that little gray tab, push in on it, and then out. And then you'll hear that pop. It'll be satisfying. You'll get the coil out, and everything will be hunky-dory. I did have new spark plugs, or not spark plugs, coils, but I decided to go with the factory FCA ones. They seem to do pretty well in my situation, so I'm going to be using those instead of using the Delphi. But just know that you can also use the Delphi spark plugs, coils, I don't know why I keep saying that, coils, if you would like to use those to replace your OEM ones. But for me, my kind of hesitant cold start or a little bit shaky cold start has gotten a lot better. So I'm pretty happy about that. Also, you might want to disconnect the battery just in case so that the car doesn't do any weird electronic things. Disconnecting the battery on this car is pretty much good in any situation. Sorry about the noise. The cat's having a field day in there. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it helped explain some things, and hopefully it was a simple walkthrough of the spark plug change, which shouldn't take more than 30 minutes to an hour depending on your skill level.